What's that? It's Pig Nuts coming to you live from the pig pen. It is Piggy himself. Oink, oink, oink. It is the last Pig Nuts of the year. I am sorry for being gone so long, but here I am, and we got a lot to go over. We got who's back, who's dead, who's not back, but not dead, and then some year end review stuff. First off, who's back? Vivek. Vivek is back as the champion of the league. He's won this league many times. Not the best league, but a fun league nonetheless. Am I butthurt about not winning it myself this year? Yes. Did I have the most points this year? Yes. Did my team falter at the end? Yes. But Avi and Vivek had a battle for the championship. And Vivek, uh, who was not at the draft, by the way, not at the draft, so there is an asterisk next to his name, did win the league. So congrats to him. Uh, Etienne and A Chain and some of my other players really let me down at the end of the year. Tua kind of cooled off. Is what it is. Congrats to Vivek. Congrats to Avi. Congrats to me for having most points. Next, we got Gypsy Rose Blanchard. Gypsy Rose Blanchard. I don't know if you ever watched the show The Act on Hulu, but it was very good. And you would know the story of Gypsy Rose Blanchard and her mother, Dee Dee Blanchard. I think Patricia Arquette plays the mom. Very good show. You should watch it if you haven't. But basically, it's a show about a girl who, a family, mom, who gives her daughter basically Munchausen by proxy, which is where she says the daughter's sick, even though the daughter's not sick, and she's making her sick with medicines. And she says that the daughter has leukemia and asthma and muscular dystrophy and brain damage as a result of premature birth, and that she only has the brain of an 8-year-old, even though she's like a 25-year-old. And this poor kid thinks that she's sick this whole time, and her head is shaved, and she can't do anything, and she can't talk to other people, and she can't go on the internet, and she's chained to the bed, and she makes her use a wheelchair, and she like tricks the doctors into thinking all this stuff is true, and she gets her ruled legally mentally incompetent, and she changes her birth certificate. Horrible, horrible lady this Didi is. Um, Eventually, somehow she sneaks around and gets on the internet, even though she's not supposed to, and meets this guy Nicholas Godejohn on Christian Singles, and they talk about this life they're gonna have together and how they're gonna run away, and but my mom doesn't let me, and we're gonna elope, but my mom. So eventually they plan to murder Dee Dee, and eventually he comes over and she hides in the closet and she covers her ears, and he does kill her. He stabs her a bunch of times, and they run away. But of course, that was not a very good murder plan, and they get arrested. But everyone feels bad for them, of course, mainly her, not him so much. He just killed the mom, but her because she was Munchausen this whole time. So she gets a decently light sentence for planning and killing your mom, and she was released from prison early this week, and she's now one of the hottest celebrities on the internet. Tons of interview requests, tons of interviews on TV. I think she's doing Good Morning America. She has a CNN interview. She has a 2020 interview. She wants to meet Taylor Swift because she says they're so much alike. And she says tons of guys in jail wrote to her and wanted to be with her. And that's how she met her husband, which we'll get into. But she wants to be on Survivor. And everyone's making fun of her husband for writing to her in jail and getting married to her. But she says her husband has a huge penis. So the joke's on us. And very cool for her and him. But Gypsy Rose Blanchard, hottest celebrity on the internet right now. Have a day, Gypsy Rose. Next up, we got Cat Williams. Cat Williams set the internet on fuego this week when he went on Club Shay Shay, which is Shannon Sharp's podcast, and dropped tons and tons of slander and some truths probably and many many lies in a 2.5 hour conversation where he goes on to attempt to take down every comedian in the world. Basically, he calls Kevin Hart an industry plant. Says Cedric the Entertainer stole jokes, which it seems like he did. Said Harvey Weinstein offered to blow him in front of everyone at this place he was at the whatever. Says that Harvey Weinstein wanted to blow him for a bunch of money. Weird. I don't know if that's real or not, but he said that Steve Harvey stole the Steve Harvey show from Mark Curry's sitcom Hanging with Mr. Cooper. I do remember that show. I remember it being very good. He was a principal, but he was like also a basketball player. And then I guess Steve Harvey also was a principal in the show. I guess there's similarities. I can see that a little bit. He says Illuminati is behind making black actors wear dresses, and he singles out Martin Lawrence. Of course, a bunch of other. It's true. A bunch of other black actors have worn dresses. I don't know if the Illuminati is behind that or not, or it's just funny. He called Kim K a whore and said that Kanye West is just mentally incompetent, and how can we take anything he says seriously? He said that Chris Tucker is basically a pedophile, and he was on Epstein Island a bunch, and that's true. He was on Epstein Island a bunch, and we'll get into that in a little bit. He says that Diddy and Ludacris are Illuminati, and him and Ludacris went to an Illuminati party themselves back in the day, where the Illuminati came out and said one of you will shave your head and do a bunch of other stuff and not wear that hairstyle anymore, and you will get 20 movies and $10 million at $10 million each, and the other of you will get nothing. And Cat Williams says he took the nothing, and Ludacris got all the Fast and the Furious movies. Don't know if that's true either. Anyways, 7.8 million views. Super crazy for a 2.5 hour conversation online. Great for Cat Williams. He's back. I saw him last year in Tallahassee. I think he's coming back in Tallahassee. So good for Cat Williams. Have a day, even though a lot of that was nonsense. But still. Next up, we got giant pandas. Giant pandas are back. On Friday, Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi insisted that peaceful coexistence between China and USA must continue, which was established 45 years ago. We started making diplomatic inroads together. And for an olive branch, he promised giant pandas returning to the US by the end of the year, specifically to California. So, all of our California mates, good for you. Good for the USA. Good for giant pandas. Good for China. Love that. Now, lastly, we got Willis Gibson, aka Blue Scuddy. Willis Gibson, Blue Scuddy, is a 13-year-old from Oklahoma who beat Tetris. He's the first person ever to beat the game of Tetris. It came out in 1989. No one has ever beat it. It's hard to believe, but that's, I guess, true. I've never beaten Tetris. I never thought of anyone. I guess I don't know anyone who has beaten Tetris. So good for Blue Scuddy. Good for this guy. Have a day. Pretty cool, I guess. Who's not back but not dead? Everyone on the Epstein list. Everyone on the Epstein list. The Epstein list dropped this week, and it was mostly the people we assumed would be on the list: Bill Clinton, Trump, Prince Andrew. But there were some fun names on the list as well. Stephen Hawking, the guy in the wheelchair who's disabled but super smart, but he had to do the boop 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 boop. I am Stephen Hawking thing. That guy. Turns out he was into midgets and orgies and real weird. I would have trouble being an orgy with Stephen Hawking. That's not my thing, but to each their own. I guess my thing is also not pedophilia. So, other people on the list that were surprising: Leslie Wexner, I guess, was not surprising. He was some big money guy. Michael Jackson and David Copperfield were on the list. This list was, it's like a deposition list that was, and somebody who was, it's like someone sued for slander or libel or something, and then the judge says that they can release this list of names. I don't know if it's an official list, but it sounds like, the usual suspects mostly. One person that was not on the list was Jimmy Kimmel. And the reason this is news this week is Aaron Rodgers went on his Pat McAfee show, and him and Jimmy Kimmel have this long time feud about COVID and liberal things, and pub Republican things, and they're very mad at each other. And Aaron Rodgers is a weirdo freak who thinks that, oh, you got a COVID vaccine, so now you're a loser. Anyways, Jimmy Kimmel, he hates Jimmy Kimmel, and he goes on the Pat McAfee show on ESPN and says that that list is being dropped this week, and someone who should be worried is Jimmy Kimmel. Jimmy Kimmel does not like that slander. Neither does ESPN, because ESPN is owned by ABC as a parent company, and ABC employs Jimmy Kimmel as one of its biggest stars. So not a good look for ESPN. Kimmel tweets basically that you're a piece of shit and I'm going to sue you. My family's getting death threats because they think that I'm on this island, which he was not on the list. So bad luck for Aaron Rodgers, bad luck for Pat McAfee. Pat McAfee has to come out and apologize because ESPN's, I'm sure, pressuring him and saying you can't do that to Jimmy Kimmel. He's one of our biggest stars with ABC. And it's a bad look. Aaron Rodgers still hasn't apologized because he's a fucking baby who doesn't talk to his own family. Um, Pat McAfee then goes on and says that someone in ESPN, mainly Norby Williamson, who's the head of event and studio production at ESPN, is trying to sabotage his show. Of course, they did that with Barstool back in the day. Barstool Van Talk had a show. You can't kill Pat McAfee. He has way, 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 way. He's basically ESPN at this point, other than Stephen A. Smith. I assume that Pat McAfee is not going to be dead. Still not a good look for Pat McAfee. He had to apologize. Everyone has bosses. Lastly, we have bars. Bars are not back but not dead because it's dry January, and some of you pussies are doing that. I am trying to keep up the load for everyone, but bars are complaining that no one's drinking enough. Who's dead? We got Claudine Gay, that anti Semitic, plagiaristic bitch piece of shit, resigned, was basically forced out at Harvard as president. Of course, rotten hell, Claudine Gay, you're dead. Wander Franco's dead. The Tampa Bay Rays star arrested in the Dominican Republic for allegations of sex with a 14-year-old. And the Dominican Republic law makes no sense to me. He's arrested, but he hasn't been charged. And then they told him you have to come back every month to see if you're gonna be charged. It seems like he did it, and he kind of said he did it, and he said he did it because like love is love. Weird vibes from Wander Franco. The mom of the kid, basically, he's allegedly having sex with this 14-year-old, and he's paying the mom of the 14-year-old to do so. He's giving her a car and a house and some other money. He also supposedly did this with more than one family. Not a good look. He's basically sex trafficking. It's like sex exploitation and a bunch of other stuff he's being allegedly charged with. Not a good look for the mom. Not a good look for Wando Franco. Not a good look for the Tampa Bay Devil Rays. Not a good look for the MLB. I assume his career is over. He's dead. Lastly, anyone flying? Anyone flying? Windows blew off an Alaska Airlines flight mid-flight Friday, and they had to emergency land. Boeing also urges all airlines to check its MAX jets for loose bolts. That doesn't sound great. There's a plane crash in Japan, of course. So anyone who's flying all the time, probably Danny, you're probably dead. Lastly, we have show of the week. Show of the week. I have The Curse. The Curse. It's on Showtime. Emma Stone and Nathan Fielder, of course. Nathan for You. He also did that other show on HBO that was hilarious, where his ideas, his wacky ideas. The show's not that. I don't know. I don't know if I'm having a good time or not watching it. To tell you the truth, it's with the Safdie brothers as well. One of the Safdie brothers is one of the main characters. They're the guys who made Uncut Gems. They've made some weird movies. It's a dark comedy drama, maybe that's funny sometimes, but it's like really awkward. It's about a couple filming a show about building greenhouses in a Native American community and also deals with their relationship issues. I can't tell if I'm having fun or not. I've watched 9 episodes. There's one left of the season. I think comes out either tonight or tomorrow. I think it's worth watching. I think it's good. I just don't know if I'm having a good time or not. Speaking of not knowing if you're having a good time or not, movie of the week, Saltburn. Saltburn on Amazon. It's with Barry Cogan and Jacob Elordi from that show on HBO, Euphoria. Euphoria. He's that cool guy. All the cool people watch that show, Euphoria, and he's that cool, the cool hot guy on it, Jacob Elordi. And then that Barry Keoghan guy is really weird dude. He is in Killing of a Sacred Deer. He always plays this really weird character. Basically, he plays in Oxford University. I don't know if you guys have heard of it. I studied there. Very good school. But Oxford University student who's like a loser, loner student with no friends. He somehow tricks and befriends this really cool rich student who lets him stay at his parents or his family's like super duper mega mansion castle for the summer. And it turns out that this guy's a pathological liar and he may be a lot more. Tons of weird shit happens. I don't think I had a good time with that movie either. I would give it like 5 out of 10 pig nuts, but people are saying it's good. Maybe I'm a hater. Worth watching. It's on Amazon. It's free. Quote of the week. Quote of the week. It's not a full quote. I didn't write the quote down, but basically Trump said that water kills magnets. That was dumb. Conspiracy of the week. Conspiracy of the week. Miami aliens. I don't know if you saw this video. It's all around Twitter and the internet. Hundreds of cop cars outside Bayside Marketplace, which is a little mall by the Miami Heat Stadium. I don't know if you're not from Miami, you wouldn't know, but everyone from Miami knows where Bayside is. There was like hundreds of cop cars, the most cop cars I've ever seen, and everyone's like, "What is that?" Rumors are swirling that there were UFOs and 10-foot tall aliens walking around, and it's weird because there hasn't really been a much talked about. Everyone saw these videos of thousands of cop cars, and then like nothing really happened, and there was no story. So everyone's like, it's being hush hushed because of there's aliens. There is a very grainy video of this like 10-foot tall shadow creature walking around with cop cars all around it. Uh, Watch the video. It's not the best video in the world. It's not like the Signs video with the alien walking by the kid's birthday party. It's not that. But cops say basically they come out and say that it was 50 teens fighting. Huge brawl between these teens, and then they're shooting off fireworks, which everyone assumes since they're fighting is guns, which it wasn't guns. But everyone starts running for their lives, of course, because they assume it's some big shootout. That's why all the cops were there. You be the judge if it was aliens or a huge teen fight. Lastly, we got a huge Dolphins Bills game tonight. Dolphins very very banged up. Of course, we have no Connor Williams, we have no Jalen Phillips, Bradley Chubb's dead, no Raheem Mostert, no Jalen Waddle, no Xavier Howard. Things are bad. Things are bad. Very 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 banged up Dolphins. We're +3 at home, which really means like we're favored to lose by 6 because you get 3 for being at home. I'm not touching that game. I don't like that. I need the Dolphins to win for our sanity, for our lives. If the Dolphins win and the Jags win, then the Dolphins get to play at home the Steelers without TJ Watt. That would be huge. If we lose, I think we're playing the Bills away, which would be really bad. Of course, that would be that. Bunch of different playoff scenarios going on there. Of course, we got Washington, Michigan tomorrow. There's been a bunch of fun college football playoff games. Of course, do I think FSU should have been in? Yes, but they also lost 63-3, so they're kind of frauds as well, even though they had a bunch of players out. But still, everyone outside of the FSU universe thinks they're frauds. It is what it is. Washington played Texas, great game. Washington won, Michael Penix up, and then Michigan played Alabama. That was also a great game. Michigan's favored by 4.5. I think I'm riding Washington. Washington plus 4.5. I also think I like the under. I like Penix a lot, even though he's like 30. I like his wide receivers. I like the defense. Michigan, I don't really trust. I don't know. I don't know. Hopefully, it's a good game. It's also on 7:30. I thought it used to be on like 9 p.m. I like that it's on 7:30. That's the end of the year for the Hippo Balls. I'll give you some off-season Hippo Balls, I'm sure. But look at us. We had a fun time. That was a fun season. If you have not paid your dues, pay your dues. Uh, have a good one.